Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Put.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things I'm talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. We'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. We'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause the time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand
First Contact Radio. We have arrived. First Contact Radio.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome back to First Contact Radio. Glad that you could be here as always. It's Friday. I had some time off during this week. I told you all the construction and everything going on. It was just not feasible to do things around here this week, but I am here today. Okay, so let's look at what we're dealing with today. It is the 9th of the month, the 9th of October 2015. Our sun sign is in Libra. Our moon sign is in Virgo. Virgo in the tarot card, we know this one by now. We've seen this plenty of times. The Hermit, Libra, Justice. So these are the two characters we're dealing with today. The conscious mind wants to balance things out. That's what Justice is about. That's what the idea of karma and Libra is about. So balancing everything out. Learning to do the things that are going to balance out the things that we've done. Learning to say the things that are going to help us to counteract the things that we've said that hurt us, while at the same time learning not to say the things that hurt us, because we need to be aware of that as well. Not to say, oftentimes we're our own worst enemies. We say things that hurt ourselves. We incriminate ourselves. We have to learn not to do that. Then, of course, Virgo, teaching us the lessons of patience. And Virgo, the Hermit, is going to be with us over the course of this weekend until Sunday, where it transitions into a new sign, Libra. So we have Virgo to deal with. Patience over the weekend. Patience and timing. Everything happens according to a timing. Not my timing, not your timing, but the timing of the universe and how things move. There's specific laws in which everything operates. We've gone over the Kybalion in good detail. These are the 7 Hermetic principles or laws that govern over what is taking place. And so as we understand them, we understand how we have an effect in everything that is going on in the world that is happening around us. Some of the aspects we're looking at today, a couple of them already passed. First one was a opposition between Neptune, which says we have to look at things from a new perspective, and Virgo. So this opposition we could take a look at right here. Opposition. Here's our moon, Virgo opposite. Okay. This is in Pisces, so there's looking at a new perspective through the emotions. Here we're in Virgo, the earth sign. We're wanting to get a new perspective of things while at the same time maintain our focus on what is taking place around us. It's kind of a juggling act, if you will. In about an hour from now, Mars is going to be in a conjunct state along with the moon sign of Virgo, and we can see them right here. Conjunct means they're next to each other. We also see that later on this afternoon, Jupiter will be conjunct as well. So conjunct is just like there's a party going on in this house, and all the characters are right next to each other, and they're having a conversation. Okay? So the conversation's taking place with Mars. Mars just says, hey there, Virgo, we need you to have a little bit more energy in what's going on, a little more pep in your step. And Virgo, the hermit, says, well, why don't you just slow down there? Let's just see and be patient how everything needs to work out. Let's not force anything that needs to be, done. Let's just let it unfold. Be patient. And then right down at 424, Jupiter gets in the mix, and now it wants to expand things. So Jupiter is wanting to expand, and the hermit again is trying to decide, is this expansion happening, in a way that is working synchronistically, or is there an impatience that is taking place? We need to be aware of that, aware of how our subconscious mind is organizing and dealing with things around us. And then at 5:12 p.m., Pluto, deep transformation, is in a trine with Virgo. So there's an opportunity then, after all of these aspects of expansion and an injection of energy, that we move into the next phase where we find the transformation, and a nice positive energy with the trine shows there is something positive going on there. Okay, nice opportunity. And then, of course, over the weekend, we got Libra and Virgo. We got the wounded healer is in play early in the morning. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with over the course of this weekend. Here we have our wheel on the Jewish calendar. Okay, it is 26 Tishri. We're past the festivals and the feasts of the last month. Sukkot was the last of those. Today, 26 Tishri has with it the daily thought of dancing with feet. Dancing with feet. On Simchat Torah, we dance with our feet, not with our heads. We are celebrating the Torah, and the Torah is something we study with our heads, but we dance with our feet, not with our heads. If we would dance with our heads, each one would dance a different dance, each in a different space, with some friends, but not with others, some as lonesome souls. One head is higher, one is lower, one here on earth, the other in the clouds or beyond, and some minds know only their own space that no one else can know. But we dance with our feet, and all of our feet are here on the same earth, none higher, none lower. So now we can all dance as one, with one heart, as a single being. There is no loneliness, only joy. It's a nice good thought for today. 7-tone is called the resonant tone. We're on the wave spell of the night, which is about dreams and abundance, the subconscious. So we're at the 7th position along this wave spell. It's the resonant moon, guided by the dragon. Resonant tone is the tone of attunement. Moon is about purification, dragon is about nurturing. Our hidden power, the human, is free will. Like-minded energy is the dog, loyalty, love, heart, and the storm is our challenge for today, how we're going to use the energy that we gather together. The phrase is, I channel in order to purify inspiring flow. I seal the process of universal water with the resonant tone of attunement. I'm guided by the power of birth. And today is a galactic activation portal day, mirroring the other side of the Zolkin. Current moon phase is a waning moon, 10% of the way till it gets back to the new moon, which it will be sometime between Sunday and Monday, depending on your time zone. Solar wind currently at 671.6 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is 4 right now. 5 is the 24-hour max. It was up into the 7 range the other day. We had a big old storm going on. Coronal hole, we see a big one here, where I'm sure we're going to get some effect from that, though we don't see any notification of this at the moment. M-class flare possibility 1%. X-class at 1. Geomagnetic storm activity dropping from 40 down to 25 in the mid-latitudes. High latitudes from 60 down to 35. And last, looking up at the sky, what we're going to see here is we got tomorrow. It says, now that we're well into October, Deneb is replacing brighter Vega as the zenith star after dark for sky watchers at mid-northern latitudes. Accordingly, Capricornus has replaced Sagittarius in the most notable constellation down in the south. In the early dawn Saturday morning, the 10th, look east for the waning crescent moon below the Venus-Jupiter-Mars collection is shown here. Okay, so as you go out and it gets towards morning, this is what you're going to be seeing in the sky. That, my friends, is our cosmic weather. Gets us started with what's going on in the world today. UFO news is up next. Let's get to it. Here we go.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. So, first sighting comes to us from an air show in San Diego. It says giant orb chasing jets at the air show. This fantastic catch has a drone orb that is investigating the jets at the air show. The orbit's huge and cloaked, but the angle of the sun and the camera person revealed it. The detail of the orb is incredible. The eyewitness says at 10:03:15 we were at the Miramar Naval Air Show watching all of the different aircraft. 3:53 p.m. the French jet team was performing their stunts. My son, who was with me, said, "What is that?" Grabbed his camera, cell phone, took these pictures. It was hot, sunny. We did not really look at the pictures until we got to our hotel rooms. If you look close, the lights in the cylinder cast a shadow from the sun below it. Seems the object ejects a contrail center left towards the sun on the bottom. Okay. So interesting pictures. Leave them for you to do further investigation. All right, we seem to have some sort of a disclosure that seems to be making its way into the world, and you'll see what I mean by the next couple stories. First one, does the FBI memo prove aliens did crash near Roswell and 3 UFOs were covered up? UFO researchers in Japan stumbled across an FBI memo that some believe could prove the infamous Roswell flying saucer incident did happen and involved 3 flying saucers instead of the suspected one. An FBI memo that's come under scrutiny following a Freedom of Information request even suggests each saucer contained 3 bodies of 3-foot-tall aliens in the legendary alien incident. The Roswell incident, July 1947, went down in UFO folklore after the U.S. Air Force announced that it had found the remains of what was suspected of being a crashed flying saucer in New Mexico desert near the town. The next day, it retracted the statement amid claims that it was later identified as a weather balloon. UFO chasers have forever since believed it was a major cover-up, and the U.S. military actually discovered the craft and the bodies of the alien pilots. The FBI memo, now in the spotlight, dated from the 60s, 3 years after the Roswell, 3 years after the Roswell incident, said each of the 3 saucers contained 3 bodies of 3-foot-tall humanoid occupants, making 9 aliens in total. Museum workers stumbled across the document as they were preparing to open the Haiku Center for UFO Research in the coastal city of Haiku, 310 miles west of Tokyo, Japan, back in 1994. Okay, but it's come to light under the after the subsequent documents released under the U.S. Freedom of Information Act that the UFS was so concerned about the museum opening, it opened up its own file on the proposals. The original 1950 memo suggested the U.S. military found 3 metallic-shaped objects complete with occupants near New Mexico in the USA. The memo reveals U.S. radar equipment in the area was believed to have interfered with the saucers and brought them down, according to Journal Telegraph. It said an investigation for Air Force states that 3 so-called flying saucers had been recovered in New Mexico. They were described as being circular in shape, raised centers approximately 50 feet in diameter, each one occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall, dressed in metallic cloth of a fine texture. The memo was sent by FBI Special Agent Guy Hotel, who was in charge of the FBI field office, March 22, 1950, to then FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. It's a very interesting story. Now, it's not the first time that I've heard this, and it's certainly not the first time I want to reiterate this story, but as you know, I've been to Roswell a number of times out there with my band, Poetry. We've gotten to know a lot of folks out there. I've had a lot of conversations. One of the conversations, I asked somebody, because you've heard the song Roswell, and in the song it talks about a missile from the ground shooting the UFOs down. And I've asked people out there, I said, you all seem to like this song, but it doesn't follow the official story. Yet nobody has ever told me that this was incorrect. One day somebody pulled me aside and said, that's because we think that there's some truth to what you say, that we don't believe that these came down in the way they say. And I was then told about some experiments that were taking place using radar and electronics, and how during that time there were some commercial flights that were brought down and, of course, covered up along the way. So things were taking place out in Roswell way more than what has been told. And certainly those who have traveled to the Roswell Museum and to the Roswell Festival and have spoken to the number of investigators there, you would know that there was more than one crash, that the cover-up tells of one crash, but you could certainly go through and talk to a number of folks there in Roswell, a number of the researchers, and they will tell you about more than one. So check it out. Continue to do your research. You'll find some very fascinating information along that way. All right, let's move on to the next story here from Roswell. Now we're going to talk about NASA's footage shows a manned mission to Mars. This film, supposedly leaked from NASA, shows blurry footage from a manned mission to Mars back in 1973. The film, which shows some wobbly cam footage of the planet, begins with a sign that says not for public distribution. Must be real then. Conspiracy theorists believe that there was a secret space program, codenamed Project Red Sun. When humans landed on Mars in the late 60s or early 70s, conspiracy theorists believe that this is being kept from the ordinary public for various sinister reasons, and that NASA and other governments are covertly in contact with aliens. Okay, and we've got this here, and for internal use only. Okay. So some of these theorists believe that the current Curiosity rovers are giant hoax, pointing to the vehicle's shiny solar panels as evidence that they are being polished by humans already on Mars. Nigel Watson of the Haynes UFO Investigations Manual says these accounts of secret space missions seem to be growing in number and remind me of the Project Serpo. In November 2005, a contact called Anonymous, who said that they worked for the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, or DIA, started sending information about extraordinary alien exchange program called Project Serpo. Basing his claims on a 3,000-page document written in the 70s, he boldly claimed that 6 aliens were recovered from the Roswell crash. Claims that aliens living or dead were recovered from Roswell are nothing new, but in this case it was stated that an alien survivor from the crash called EB1 helped to organize 12 specially trained people to visit his home planet Serpo in the Zeta Reticuli solar system. The mission occurred in 1965, and they remained there until 78. During their stay, 2 of them died, 2 remained on the planet, and the rest, after returning to Earth, have died because of the high levels of radiation they were exposed to on Serpo. Bill Ryan, who posted these claims online, concluded that Serpo's story is a mixture of disinformation and naturally occurring compounded errors surrounding a core of extraordinary truth. Okay? So, whatever the case may be, between the last 2 stories that have come out about Mars and Roswell, it makes you kind of wonder if somebody is trying to disclose some information out there. Then, of course, during this week, or during last week, remember, we had the announcement about water on Mars, and then then the end of the week was the movie with what's his name, Matt Damon, came out about The Martian. And then again yesterday we had the announcement that they found ice on Pluto. So you got to watch out, First thing, they're finding water on Mars, then they're finding ice on Pluto. Next thing you know, they're going to tell us there's gas in Uranus. So we're just going to have to bump. These are the jokes, folks. We're just going to have to pay attention to see what's out there that might be threatening us. Got to watch out for that uranium gas. Okay. Here we have space.com. We had a story here about, where did it go? It disappeared. Story disappeared. This was about Martians and going to Mars. Let's see, I bet it's here. Well, humans to Mars. Here's what we'll need. All right. This is a nice little video here. I'm going to leave this for you to watch because there's a whole lot more to it than what I'm going to be able to show you here. But I just wanted to make the link available to you so you understand that discussions are taking place about Mars. And, you know, here we are living at a time where there are those who are saying we didn't even go to the moon, and now they're discussing Mars. So is there some huge psyop taking place? Did we really go to these places? Or Americans and people around the world being fooled for some other reasons? That is the million-dollar question. YourNewsWire.com has an article here that says George Bush Sr. on UFOs, Americans can't handle the truth. During a recent Jeb Bush fundraiser in Orlando, his father, George Bush Sr., left the large crowd uneasy after responding to questions about UFOs. An activist journalist asked the U.S. government when the U.S. government would tell the truth about UFOs, but the answer George Bush Sr. gave took the crowd and reporters completely by surprise. He replied, Americans can't handle the truth, before the questioning was briefly halted by the event organizers. In hopes of helping his son Jeb's struggling campaign, George Bush Sr. and former President George W. Bush have been campaigning behind the presidential campaigns in hopes of bringing the Bush family's name once again beyond the Oval Office. With some experts believe this kind of incident could cost him the race. During the fundraiser, Man the Crown raised a strange question, which led to an even more surprising response. Okay, so you got the answer, you got the response. Yeah, whatever, George. Whatever, George. You know, we know that you were cover up. We know that you were, not an honest man. Many like to refer to you as Beelzebub. That's one of the names of the devil, for those of you who aren't aware of that. Yes, there are many who think that the Bush is a devil, that the Bush family are filled with devils. There are many who think that. I'm just saying. All right. And one last story here. ET Contact Tool. ET Contact Tool. The ET Contact Tool is a self-contained course on making contact with ET beings authored by Stephen M. Greer, MD, which includes working scientific instruments for detecting anomalous activity. Dr. Greer is the director of CSETI, Center for the Study of Extraterrestrial Intelligence. He is widely regarded as the most credible and influential figure on the subject of ET contact. He has been briefed by astronauts, a sitting CIA director, military and government officials in the U.S. and around the world. He's also the father of the worldwide disclosure movement, which has recently led the governments around the world releasing hundreds of thousands of previously classified documents on UFO ET-related matters, emphasizing the reality and importance of this issue. Dr. Greer, retired emergency physician, and was the chairman of the Department of Emergency Medicine at Caldwell Memorial Hospital, North Carolina, before dedicating himself to this work full-time. As a meditation instructor for 30 years, he has pioneered techniques that combine meditation and remote viewing for making ET contact. He has trained thousands of people around the world in the use of these methods. The ET Contact Tool provides you with a full course in these techniques, as well as a suite of tools to help you make contact on your own. It includes over 2 hours of audio tutorials, guided meditations, and tones, along with Dr. Greer's complete written guide on the science of making contact, custom tailored for the iPhone. Okay, so there you go. So, if you want to find out where extraterrestrials are, perhaps you can download the ET Contact Tool and find out yourself. All right, there you go. That's our UFO news for today. I'm jumping away, and the song I'm going to play today is called Wake Up. Because, well, that's what we need to do. Wake up, wake up, wake up.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up.
wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Yep, sure is. Time to demand the truth. All right, one of the things I didn't mention, which I'll take care of right now, is that for the last 3 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks, we have been in a Mercury retrograde. You know, the drill with the Mercury retrogrades. It's when Mercury appears to go backwards, and during the course of the time, communication, which is what Mercury deals with, seems to have its set of challenges. And the times we need to be aware of with Mercury retrogrades are the crossing phases. Think of it like this. Think of it as you're about to go into a crater. Okay, Mercury retrograde is the crater. And the beginning of Mercury retrograde is when we go over the edge of the crater, going into it. And the end of Mercury retrograde is when we come out of the crater. At those two places where we go in and out, where we have to go over the ridges to get in the crater, out of the crater, there's going to be some bumps and some challenges as you're going from one area to the next. But once you get in that crater, everything smooths out a little bit more. It's not so rough and bumpy as it was during the entrance and the exit. So that's kind of how a Mercury retrograde is. It's a rough example, but it gives you the idea that Mercury retrograde does not mean we stop our lives. It means we're aware that during the period of 3 weeks, during this Mercury retrograde cycle, which happens 3 times a year, that we are going to go through some communication issues where we need to pay a little bit more attention. That's all. That's all it is. Pay a little bit more attention. Mercury, the mind, communication, retrograde, go back a grade. Take a step back. Review things that need to be reviewed. That's what it's all about. Okay, here's a nice good page all about Mercury retrogrades, when they exist, how they occur, what they're about. And as we could see, we're coming out of a Mercury retrograde, 2015, where we're at down here. We're coming out of the Mercury retrograde, going into the stable area. Okay, so today's that transition where we're coming out, kind of that crossing out of the crater into the real world again. Okay, does that example make any difference? Does it help a little bit? All right. So, Wake Up. That was the song that I played because that is the theme throughout life these days. Not just here, but throughout life. We need to wake up. A lot of events are taking place. And you know what? It seems that there's a lot of people in America are waking up. Not only in America, but around the world. People are seeing the way in which humans are being treated and realizing that it's not very appropriate and that there's something more going on. I think countries around the world are starting to see and understand that this migrant issue is not a migrant issue, but is an invasion that's taking place. And those who are paying attention are seeing that this is happening. It's sad because it's hard to really tell what's going on with all of the deception and the agendas that are out there. Now, we heard about the shooting that took place in Oregon. Question is, did it really happen the way that we have been told it's happened? We do know that there was a drill that took place in Oregon just a week before the event. We do know that there are crisis actors that go from event to event to event that are involved with these type of activities. We have the same gentleman who was in France that foiled an issue in France is now connected to this school in Oregon. There's a lot of things that don't make sense. We get into the shooter and his background and realize that he's being pushed as, being one race when there's traces and a trail that leads and connects him to ISIS and being Muslim. So Americans are being lied to. There's something going on that's really out of whack. And in the midst of all of this, you got President Jackass. Yes, that's how I refer to him. He's a clown. He doesn't deserve to be there. And either that or President Soetoro, Barry Soetoro. Remember, his middle name's Hussein. We want to point that out. The Muslim who people can't believe is a Muslim and want to deny, oh no, he's not a Muslim, even though he said it over and over and over again. So, folks, if you haven't figured out he's a Muslim, Get with the program. He said it over and over and over again. He's tearing the country apart. At which point are people going to stop listening to all the lies and actually realize, oh yeah, he has been tearing the country apart for all of these 6-7 years now? Imagine where we would have been if we would have listened to the people who was saying how bad of a person he was 6-7 years ago. Imagine where we'd be. Whole different place. But we are where we are now because this is the place we have brought ourselves to. We've brought ourselves to this place because we gave up our ability to use our critical thinking. We gave up our ability to disseminate right from wrong. And because we've given up all of our rights and our common sense, we have to go through these situations to stand back up to realize what's really important to us. What we're going to find is that the issues of these past several years that have been tearing us apart, we're going to find out how backwards they are, and we're going to start following the right path again because we've been listening to idiots for too long, and our country's really going down the drain. I've never seen it like this in my entire life. I know many of you have not seen it like this in your entire lives. But we know where the problem is. We can pinpoint the problem very, very easily. And it starts in the White House and the administration and all of the nonsense that they're bringing in. You shall know them by their fruit. Well, the fruit that I see is this administration has brought in a lot more murder in this country, a lot more terrorism around the world, and a lot more terrorists into the country. There's the fruit of this man. And, well, I think there's a lot more story to him than meets the eye. So let's look at some of these other stories here. Washington gun owners stage largest federal civil disobedience rally in Americans' history. At the end of the rally, gun owners burned their concealed weapons permits and signed a petition vowing to refuse to follow the new gun control law. The petition ended with the text, "We pledge our blood, we will not comply." This certainly isn't the first scale act of civil disobedience by gun owners in defiance of gun laws. Earlier this year in Connecticut, hundreds of thousands of gun owners refused to send in their gun registration forms, also becoming felons. Similar numbers of gun owners in New York have also refused to send in their registration paperwork, and some even videotape themselves burning the forms. Fed up with the passage of the 18.5-page incoherent, rambling, unconstitutional gun control initiative that was bankrolled by billionaires, gun owners across Washington state held the largest felony civil disobedience rally in the nation's history, brazenly titled, "I Will Not Comply." No one was hurt, no stores were looted. Between 1,000 and 3,000 lawful gun owners showed up openly armed in the state capital of Olympia, Washington, Saturday to defy the newly passed gun control law. No problems. No looting, no nothing. Gun controls. Or gun owners. See, there's a big difference when you have people that are abiding by the law, that are responsible citizens. You don't have looting. Looting occurs when you have people who have lost hope in themselves, and they've lost hope in their country, and they have simply just gone down the path of having no other recourse in life but to be a complete burden on society. Then those people go loot because they think that's how you make your point, by stealing something. Well, that's what you learn when you're brought up in bad situations. You're brought up that that's the way to be. And unfortunately, it isn't. So we do have people standing up, which is great. It's the only way things are going to get back on track. Look, as long as we keep listening to the people spout off nonsense and keep deciding that, okay, we're going to go along the path of your nonsense, we're going to keep going down the drain. But when we decide that we're going to listen to common sense and do the things that are right, that are following the path of righteousness, then we're going to make a big difference for us. But as long as we're turning a blind eye to all the problems and all the crimes and all of the people out there that are supporting this, we're going to continue to have a problem. Now here's a question someone brought up. questions you aren't supposed to ask about ISIS. Number one, the Toyota trucks. October 8th, 2015, Information Clearinghouse off Guardian, SIS, murky mask, terrifying bad guys, Islamic hardliners doing unspeakably ghastly things in faraway sandy places, a horde poised to be unleashed on the innocent everywhere. They merge into Jungian Western mind with race memories of the Sarkian and other convenient boogeymen from the previous, ultimately ill-fated bid to make strategic conquest from a moral crusade. Fear is the message, and it works. As with most official narratives, the ISIS trope is left largely unexamined by the mainstream media, while at the same time being used by the major motivation for continued increasing war in the Middle East, given the growing chaos in the region, now spreading to Yemen, and the increasingly blurry role ISIS would appear to be playing as media fear porn, war provocateur, and enemy of Western enemies. We decided to do a short series, some of the largely unaddressed questions about the people who may be offering them direct or indirect support. The official story is ISIS stole them from the good terrorists, al-Nusra, who were originally giving their cool wheels to the U.S. government, which would seem to beg of a couple of inquiries, not the least of which is is the U.S. giving any terrorist any sort of machinery? Or any matching fleets of luxury SUVs, and for that matter, how many fleets are we talking about? Okay, so bottom line is here. This is ISIS. ISIS now has Toyota vehicles. Where are they getting these Toyota vehicles? Are they going to a Toyota dealership and stealing them? Or is somebody providing them? Probably somebody's providing them. The Muslim in chief who's in office, or Hussein Obama, or Hussein Sotoro. He's probably providing them because he's provided so much other weaponry and things to terrorists. He's a terrorist himself, so why would one be surprised? But this is what's going on, okay? This is what is going on, and Americans are being fooled, and fooled. How many times have you heard me mention the article about the 33 times that Americans were fooled because there was an event that took place, a false flag, and Americans fell for it, and later it was confirmed that it was a false flag. But that false flag drew people into war and misled them on situations 33 times, okay? I've mentioned this over and over, and I think anybody who hears this should absolutely be ashamed to consider themselves part of an American intelligence. 33 times our intelligence has been fooled. 33 times. That's not once, that's not twice. 33. So how many more times, Americans, are we going to be fooled? 34, 35, 36? Or perhaps are we going to pull our head out of our collective backsides, wipe the crap out of our eyes, and realize that we're being lied to left and right and do something about it? I don't like being lied to. I'm pretty certain you don't like being lied to. And I know there's a whole lot of others out there in the alternative media and in the world in general that don't being lied to. So why are we allowing it to happen? Money. Because people give up rights for money. And when people stop doing that, are we ever going to get to that point? It's going to be difficult because we keep getting the lowest common denominator of individuals who are going out and doing all of these atrocities. They have no morals, they have no values, they have no remorse about anything they do, and they're sent out there to do these activities by even more unscrupulous individuals like the Obamas and like the Bushes and like those who are in the U.S. government that continues to cause problems. I'm not going to turn a blind eye to it, and I'm not going to pretend it doesn't exist, and you shouldn't either. And there's a lot of folks like myself out there talking about this, and we're going to say it over and over and over till one day it actually makes sense and somebody actually gets it. Because when you finally get it, you're going to realize your life is going to be much better because you will have understood something extremely important. Here's a story. It's been talked about for a long, long time. The headline, unbelievable scam of cancer industry blown wide open. $100 billion a year spent on toxic chemotherapy for many fake diagnoses. Cancer Institute shocking admission affects millions of patients. With $100 billion a year now being spent on toxic chemotherapy treatments that damage patients and causes chemo brain side effects, a panel of cancer experts commissioned by the National Cancer Institute publicly admitted 2 years ago that the tens of millions of cancer cases aren't cancer at all. Tens of millions of people who have been diagnosed with cancer by crooked oncologists and scared into medically unjustified but extremely profitable chemotherapy treatments never had any sort of life-threatening condition to begin with, scientists have confirmed. The word cancer also involves the specter of an exemplary lethal process. However, cancers are heterogeneous and can follow multiple paths, not of all which progress to metastasis and death, and include indolent diseases that causes no harm during the patient's lifetime, says the abstract of the published study entitled Overdiagnosis and Overtreatment in Cancer, an Opportunity for Improvement. All right, I'm going to leave the article for you. What do you say about this? Okay? I've been talking about this. You've probably been talking about it. People have been talking about this for a while, yet one after another people go and they get the cancer treatments and then they die. So it's very barbaric, and when people wake up, people will stop being killed. It's that simple. Wake up and you stop being treated badly. Continue to sleep and pretend that these things aren't going on, and, well, you're just going to continue to get fooled, as you have been. Huge claim by Matt Drudge. Obama is blackmailing Boehner to get his way in this keen issue. Matt Drudge, the brilliant editor of the Drudge Report, is a leading conservative voice who has a better news for nose than anyone on earth. So when House John Boehner surprised everyone by helping pass the unfortunate Siramanus bill, which fully funds the Obamacare and supports Obama's amnesty agenda, people started to ask questions, why? After a massive Republican landslide victory on Election Day, would Boehner act in such a strange way? Drudge clued us in on the educated theory about what happened. Obama's got everything. NSA dirt on Boehner must be incredible. Chicago wins. All right, so basically, whatever bad stuff Boehner has done, he's putting that above the country. So he's going to be selfish, and instead of doing the right thing for the country, he's going to be selfish and allow himself to be blackmailed into doing something bad because he doesn't want the bad things he's done to be exposed, if I'm understanding this article correctly. And if that's the case, that's horrendous. Shame on you, Mr. Boehner. Shame on you for acting that way. And yes, I did pronounce your name that way because that's what you simply are. You have no purpose. You've been in Congress for how long? You've done nothing right. So now you're going to go out and betray the people some more because you're too afraid of your dirt coming out. I hope your dirt comes out, sir. I hope your dirt comes out in spite of all of this, and people get to see what a low life you are. Unfortunately, many people don't see that. Unfortunately, many people don't see what a lot of you lowlifes in Washington are. But I know, and the people that are paying attention are. We're tired of mincing words, and I'm not really, going to pretend anymore that what you're doing is right, because it certainly isn't. Certainly isn't. Now, you've heard me ramble, rant, and change tone for a little bit. There are good things going on in the world, and the good things are the important things that we want to hang on to. We want to understand the bad things that are going on so we understand how to avoid them. Okay? Who to avoid. We need to understand who to avoid so we can know who to move towards. And who we move towards is to God. You see, we're either following God's ways or we're following man's ways. Those are the two options that we have. Man has gotten to the point thinking he knows better than God, and therein lies the problem, because we have too many of these geniuses running around think they know better than God, and they certainly don't. And they're the ones who are leading the ship. And many Americans are following these individuals, which unfortunately is more problematic than it appears to be, because then the world starts to crumble and collapse and have all the problems that it has. When we stop following the jackasses who are leading the jackass parade, then we're going to actually make a difference in the world, because we'll be doing things the right way. Don't follow the way of man, follow the way of God. Do things the way that needs to be, the righteous way, and you'll find that your life will become much smoother. If you have an issue with the word God, use another word in replace of that. If you have an issue with that, talk to others and get over it, because there's nothing else other than that source. You can call it by any name. There's many names. If God doesn't work for you, but to deny the source of all things and deny that that source knows better than human, okay. You can believe that if you want. Some people will. I'm not one of those. And, All right, let's check this out here. 6 shifts in consciousness we are experiencing right now. This is an article at In5D. Michael Forrester. Absolutely everything is a wave of energy, and there are many new energies taking place on Earth. We've shifted consciousness, but we're still using old reflections to create a reality. Abundance in all aspects of life is now much easier to achieve in the new vibration, and a confidence in our abilities will soon magnify to great levels in the coming years. There will be some obstacles and challenges ahead, but we know that the following shifts in our being are happening right now, as all humans are born into spiritual wealth without practice. Vibrating frequencies build a virtual construct that makes you think you're in a physical world, but you are not. You're in a holographic universe, which is an illusion so well designed that only the highest beings of light can see it for what it is. It is your destiny, but now you will continue to play this game called Earth at a level never played before. You are still playing with 3-dimensional rules in a 5th-dimensional world, but you're quickly learning how to make the transition by shifting energy. Think about all of the areas of wellness, whether it be physical, mental, social, lifestyle, morals, the spiritual aspects of life. They are all enveloped and affected by energy. How you think, feel, and act is all energetic. Right or wrong, black, white, good, bad, really don't exist, but we still need the duality to continue the game in its current form. You will soon discover that everything is a shade of gray. The most important thing you can do right now is a little of what is whispering to your heart. It won't shout to get your attention, so you must listen very closely to the messages you are receiving. So I'm going to read these, and I'm going to leave for you, because you can see there's big discussions under each one. I'm going to leave that for you. But the first shift is a realization of the eternal nature of your being. Very important. Okay, you are immortal in a vessel which you decide is mortal. Your physical vessel does not need to die, but you have come to accept that it will, so it does. There's a balance of well-being that is certain for all of us. You all have shared pain that are part of your process of integration. It's the understanding of why I exist. Illness is not always a sign there's something wrong. To acclimate to new energy, many of you have chosen to push through these physical barriers first. You have conditioned that all you must naturally contract diseases, take drugs to fix them, but this is not so. So when we realize our eternal nature of our being, that's the first shift. Second one, shift in vital and spiritual energy. You notice how you feel during the course of the days, because your energy shifts once you start to realize the ways in which energy is used. Again, I refer back to the principles. Once we understand the principles of how everything works, we now understand about the shift that's taking place. Energetic harmony, again, very important. Harmony, synchronicity, just being in communication, in correspondence with all things. This happens energetically as our vibrations raise to match the higher vibrations around us. Energetic causation, that our energy causes things to happen, good, bad, indifferent, and as we raise our energy and we start walking the path of righteousness, we make a big difference. Energy transfer and reflection. You can only attract what is within your vibrational field. There's no experience that you can obtain in physical form without attracting it from a vibrational perspective. So we learn to be responsible for the things that are coming into our lives. And finally, polarity, consciousness, and neutrality. Perhaps one of the biggest victories awaiting humanity is the shift from polarity to duality and the dichotomous right versus wrong, which has resulted in the conflict and suffering that exists between men and women of various races. Says, the hard part is over. The only thing left to do now is alter your expectations. Enjoy the ride. You are a divine being of light, and your true nature will soon be all you know. The pace is now accelerating. The coming change will also be met by shifts in monetary systems, the political landscape, as well as the modifications in social and economical infrastructures. This will happen sooner than later, but likely before the end of the year. Many of these events will happen simultaneously, and when the greater cycle begins, you will know. It'll be difficult, but it is the time to be centered and focus on seeing all the good that will come into the age of empowerment. You are truly empowered human. Own your mastery. Okay? So there's great change upon us. And, we're all feeling it in various ways. Some of the feelings and people are aware that the changes are for the better. Others are completely blind to what is going on and just moving along and not paying attention. We have all different, phases within there. Those who are paying attention just need to keep doing so and keep encouraging others who aren't. I know sometimes it's frustrating and to deal with people who aren't paying attention. I deal with them. You deal with them. It can be very frustrating. We just have to remember to be patient. And just to allow spirit to move us along. And I think that's the best way. I find that is what guides my life. I use 2 words: trust God. And whenever I have a situation that I'm in, I just remind myself, trust God, and I hang on to that belief, and everything works out great. So I would encourage everybody, simply trust God. Trust God, and you'll find it's simpler than you realize. All right, here's a message from today from Salusa.
October 9th, 2015, by Mike Quincy.
Salusa.
So much is occurring on Earth that it is difficult for you to determine exactly what is happening. Karma is being played out whilst at the same time the light is progressing to bring through more of the higher energies. More and more people are beginning to understand how they have been manipulated by the Illuminati, and rightly feel angry that they have been misled for so long. Not only that, but the way in which you have been denied many of the advances that they have kept to themselves. The truth is that you also knew before you incarnated, that you would experience a strong challenge to take away your freedom and your rights. However, you might not have been aware that you were chosen because of your background and experience. A few may fall by the wayside, but it was known that the vast majority would rise up against the dark ones. Consequently, you have been able to withstand their actions, so much so that they can no longer be sure of fulfilling their own agenda. So we can say that the light has won the fight against them, and although they will fight to the bitter end, they cannot win. We are unable to determine the exact manner in which events will turn out, and cannot therefore predict when ascension will take place. However, progress should now move even faster, and we are helping you on your way. At times it may seem that matters stagnate, but be assured that all goes well, and we will not allow you to be held up. Indeed, where we are permitted we will always help you, and that is often a matter of advising you the correct or best time to take action. We do this by subtle means or when we meet you during your sleep period. The challenge that you face is one that you have to deal with, but we are nevertheless allowed to assist you. Having almost gone through the toughest part of your evolution, we know that you will emerge victorious. Clearly some souls will lose their lives during these volatile times, but that is their agreed karma from which they shall benefit. Indeed, the end times offer you many great opportunities to clear old karma for once and for all. The end times also give great opportunities for everyone's karma to be cleared, and certainly if you are following ascension it is necessary to do so. You cannot take it with you, but we must add that you can be released from it if the circumstances permit. What a lovely thought that you can wave goodbye to any further karma, once you reach a certain point of evolution. If you think for a moment, when the vibrations are raised there is a point where you can only speak the truth, and that in itself will avoid many karmic situations. Man has got used to speaking half-truths so often that it becomes the normal way of life. Part of your problem is that telling the truth can lead to trouble for you or others, so you tend to cover up. Be assured that in the higher dimensions, you will not face the same problems and life is so happy and trouble-free. In general terms, we have tried to give you a sense of what it is like to live in the higher vibrations, yet without actual experience of them, it is difficult to find adequate words. Let us say that you will be overjoyed at the freedom given to you, and enjoy the happiness and love that exists everywhere. No more drudgery, no more chores, and all the time you want to satisfy your love of adventure and new challenges. Follow the laws of one and you will enjoy your newfound freedom. Sometimes the earth can provide the most exciting challenges, but these will soon be forgotten when you have the whole universe to experience. All the time and effort you have put in to get this far will be more than worth the effort you have put in. Not least of all, remember that you can again meet your loved ones and friends, and what a glorious reunion you will have. We enjoy telling you of what awaits you once you ascend, and undoubtedly the freedom to fully and freely express yourselves as the loving soul that you are, is the most satisfying experience. You will be acclaimed for the experiences you have had, and many souls will delight in meeting you and hearing all about them. Indeed, as we mentioned in an earlier message, through you other souls will not need to necessarily experience exactly what you have. Your experience can be shared to the benefit of other souls, and so the learning cycle goes on. In time you will put your earth experiences behind you, and they will become mere dreamlike, but you will always have the benefit of them. You have of course traveled the path before, but as you return it will add to your experiences, and so it continues as you grow to a point where you become a galactic being. Because of the confusion and the state of the world, there will soon become a time when many people will be worried by what is happening around them. This is where you can allay their fears, but be careful that you do not overbear them with too much detail. Clearly not everyone will want to listen to what you have to say, and for some of them the truth is a step too far for them to believe. Allow them to find their own truth, but by all means speak with those who express an interest. At such times people are usually concerned as to what will happen to their family and friends. Families will generally stay together and continue to experience and evolve together. It must however be remembered that each soul has a choice at each stage of its evolution, and that must be honored. Bearing in mind all of the negativity on Earth, it must be remembered that a life now that is very testing is not a sign of your level of spirituality, particularly now when so many are probably spending much time clearing old karmic issues. If anything, it may suggest that you have undertaken to clear your karma so that you are clear to ascend. So be careful where you choose to form an opinion of a soul's progress. You cannot really know unless you have read the Akashic records, and even then you will be unaware of what that soul has undertaken for this lifetime. We would stress that karma is not punishment but an opportunity to overcome problems that may be holding up your advancement. What may appear as punishment is simply the opportunity to put in the right problems that you have, often relating to other people. I am Salusa from Sirius. I come as always to lift you up and ensure that you know that you never travel your soul path alone. There are always helpers and guides following your progress, and giving you a gentle nudge when you need it. We often remind you that they are there for you, and are pleased to help when you need assistance. Regardless of what stage of evolution you have reached, there are always souls who are ready to help you, and so it continues until you reach the end of your journey. Follow your intuitive feelings when in doubt, as they will not let you down, and they will grow stronger as you evolve. The ego may get in the way, but you may be sure that it is caring for your earthly needs, which may not necessarily be your priority.
Thank you, Salusa.
All right, good message. Good message about the change. They're all really much about the same thing, the change that is upon us. So remember, change doesn't always occur in the physical. Change, fire, water, air, and earth. Fire is ideas, so change can occur first in the world of ideas. Water, emotions, change occurs in the emotional realm. 3, air, words or action, Change occurs from the things that we say, the words that are spoken, the actions that are taken, and the physical world is a combination of the fire, the water, the air, the ideas, the emotions, and the actions. So long before something becomes physical, it is fire, water, or air. Okay? We need just to always remind ourselves of that. Not everybody's going to be remembering that. But for those that do, it makes a big difference in understanding how things work. Okay? Here's our Warrior of the Light message for today, page 121. A warrior sits around the fire with his friends. They spend hours criticizing each other, but they end the night sleeping in the same tent, having forgotten all the insults that were bandied about. Occasionally, a new member joins the group. Because he does not yet share a common history, he shares only his good qualities, and some see in him a master. But the warrior of light never compares him with his old companions in battle. He makes the stranger welcome, but he will not trust him until he knows his defects too. A warrior of the light does not go into battle without knowing the limitations of his ally. Go ahead and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Take another deep breath. And exhale again. Another breath. And exhale. And just feel yourself relax. Now imagine yourself walking down the path of life. And as you walk down the path of life, you see all sorts of people doing all sorts of things. Some make sense, some don't make sense. You feel the energy around you is quite intense, and you see that everybody is affected by this energy. Some handle it well, others not so much. So to those that are not handling the energy well, we simply send to them vibes to relax, to be open to the change in the vibration, and to simply ground oneself in the same way one would ground an electrical circuit. And as we send this calming, relaxing, grounding energy to these individuals who seem to be having problems, their problems go away and they find it much easier. And as people find it easier, they make better choices. So we realize that by going through the world and simply sending out grounding energy, we help our brothers and our sisters to ground themselves and to absorb and utilize the energy available to them much more effectively. So as we go forth this day, this weekend, with all of the changes in the world, all of the energy being thrown about, let us simply help to ground people on the planet this weekend by sending out grounding energy. Let's just think of the earth, the ground, and just imagine this energy being sent to all of the people that we know are having challenges. And as they come in contact with this earth, this ground, we find their energy becomes balanced. So let's just imagine sending this grounding energy all around to everyone we know, to send this energy throughout the earth and the people upon the earth. And let's just imagine the world filled with people that are balanced because they are grounded. And in this balance, better choices are made. Let's just imagine this. So let the subconscious mind continue on the journey, finding and thinking of more ways to send out this grounding energy. And let's bring the conscious mind back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3 coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2 coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1 coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale and open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That's our show for today. Thanks for being here. I need to take some time to gather my thoughts this week as all of the construction is going on around here. I know I vented a little bit today, but the events of the world, they're incredible to watch, and it's incredible to see good people being fooled. That is probably the most difficult thing to watch. And I know that you have difficult, because I talk to you as well. I talk to many of you through your emails, through your comments, or in person, so I know that you're facing the similar challenges. We just need to keep going. We just need to keep knowing that as we send positivity into the world, and others are doing the same thing, the world will change. We just have to realize that sometimes you have to have pioneers in the world leading the way, and I suppose that's what we all are, pioneers of the spirit, bringing in the positivity that's needed. And we know who we need to deal with. We need to fight and deal with all of those dark, demonic entities that are trying to affect people adversely. We all have the power to do it. There's nothing to be afraid of. Just got to trust God, stand in your own power, and all will be well. That's it. I'll be back next week, and I will continue on from there. Till then, have an awesome weekend. I love you. Keep loving each other. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.